Hi, everyone, and welcome to the epic after show review of Game of Thrones Season 2, Episode 9, Blackwater. I'm Curtis Hollister.
I'm Sheldon McGilvery.
HBO has outdone themselves again with a truly epic episode of in the deep water of Blackwater Bay. We've got some kick-ass battles, insights into characters under pressure, poison at the ready, a ghost knight wearing Renly's armor, and King's Landing survives the day with Tyrion Lannister claiming victory in the dying hours of a battle destined to be won by Stannis Baratheon. Also, to follow our conversation about your favorite HBO show, you can go to about Game of Thrones. You can go to youtube.com/socialpixels or follow us on Twitter at socialpixelstv.
Hold on to your flaming winkle lips. We're going to ride this crazy torpedo of the mind out to the end, Curtis.
The mind out to the end. So I
don't know what winkle whips are.
Winkle whips are about $1.50 each.
$1. Great, excellent.
Yeah,
I'm going to buy some.
You're going to buy $1.
Excellent.
Okay, so we're going to start the show a little bit different. First of all, congrats to HBO. Great episode.
That was
awesome. We're going to get into the details.
Yep.
Let's start the episode out with 5 questions that we want you to respond to. Most importantly, about this episode and a little bit of fun. They're meant to be funny. Mm-hmm. So, first question. Most importantly.
First question we have is we're talking about Master Lewin. So we're wondering C-style match between Maesters Pycelle and Lewin or that crazy pyromancer guy that keeps popping into it.
Yeah, he looked very weird after
Wildfire guy.
Yeah, the Wildfire guy, exactly. So
who would kick the most ass, let's say, in a free-for-all?
Yeah.
So youtube.com/socialpixels, you can comment. At socialpixelstv, you can comment. GameOfThronesTV.tumblr.com, you can comment.
Okay, that's question 1.
Give us your feedback.
Question 2, definitely related to the episode, was who, aside from Jaime Lannister, who was Cersie drunk dial? She was pretty pie-eyed. She was about 3 sheets to the window in this episode. So she's in her last, she's got the poison ready.
Who would she pick up in a cab at 2 a.m.?
Yeah. So who would she drunk dial?
Or a horse,
and you pick anybody that's within the storyline.
Within the storyline, yeah.
Question 3.
Question 3 is, think of Tyrion Lannister, season 1, kind of a whore,
whoremonger.
A whoremonger, I suppose. Not taking much, well, he's still kind of a male whore.
He's not being paid.
Anyway, okay. Not taking much seriously. And season 2, is he still, is he still a sexy beast or is he a hero?
He's turned actually into a guy that's much more attractive. So, and
does he have more appeal now than he used to? He used to have quite his lifestyle was very appealing, but.
So we want just comments, I guess, around how you would classify the difference between Tyrion season 1 and the leader that he's become in season 2.
Tyrion season 2. Don't give him any hints.
Yeah.
Okay, question 4.
So, who would win in a thumb wrestle? This is serious business. Lives are on the line between Bronn and the Hound.
If they were naked, wasted, with like girls around.
Yeah, high on
in a room full of whores.
In a room full of whores. So obviously there's a little bit of a showdown between these two guys. People would love to see the Hound fight Bronn because Bronn hasn't really lost too many fights that we've seen, and the Hound hasn't lost too many fights. So that would be kind of an interesting battle.
Now, question 5, very, very serious one. We're going to give you a little hint. We're talking about George R.R. Martin. So
Google him. He's the author of the books.
He's the author of all the books.
You have to Google him and Google him based on images.
Just Google image him. Yeah, you'll find him right away. If he wasn't a genius writer, would he be a tugboat captain?
That's right.
We need to know. Please comment on all 5 of those questions. Again, we're going to try and tweet them out as we go, so you will be able to follow that. If you need a recap of what we asked, we'll tweet them out momentarily.
Definitely ask those questions and share the video as well as the questions. Get more people participating on because I think it'll be fun. Right. So what a kick-ass episode!
Awesome.
From the point of view of being able to comment on it, our process is we watch the episode, we make notes. Man,
do we make notes?
It was a tough episode to kind of think about. Absolutely. From the point of view of we start off obviously with Stannis, the ships are coming in.
That was a stormy sea as well.
Stormy sea. Guys are puking in a barrel full of puke, which doesn't comfort anybody.
Disgusting. You know what? It was a kind of a throwback to something like Thin Red Line or something when they're approaching the shore in the South Pacific. And you picture there's a lot of landing craft, and even in Saving Private Ryan or something, just these guys just nervous. They're all sitting down in the bottom of the ship.
Yeah.
They're all puking. Their lives are about to be put just right out there. I mean, we were talking earlier. Before the fight is the worst time you could possibly imagine. During the fight, I mean, it's too quick to keep up. But before the fight, that's awful. That's terrifying. And HBO captured that.
We saw
a barrel full of puke captured that.
Yeah, we saw Saving Ryan's Privates together. Actually.
You saw Saving Ryan's Privates, did we? Yes, we did.
Another interesting part.
That wasn't the movie with what's his face, Matt Damon. That was the X-rated version.
Exactly. So you also saw Davos and his son, and Davos Seaworth is really an interesting character from the point of view of he offers this very practical approach to, hey, listen. He doesn't have pride. That's really what it comes down to. Davos is not prideful. And when you've got a guy like that, he's with his son on the
sensible.
boat.
He's definitely sensible.
And he's like, listen, there's a story to be told from everybody that's in this fight. And because of that, he understands that, hey, listen, if it works out, it works out. But sometimes it doesn't. Mm-hmm. You got to realize that this isn't just blind. He is not into blind faith. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing too was the difference in opinion. His son is obviously a Melisandre, Lord of Light believer, worshiper, and Devos he couldn't come to the point his son was at. His son was very confident about their victory. Devos was questioning. He really believed that. I mean, he said something like, "With Varis there, they've known we were coming all along. Mm-hmm. This is too quiet." He was very suspect. It just shows the nature of the man. He's always been cautious. He's always been careful. He's always been avoiding things like authority in different ports. He knew better. He knew something was up, and his son, blinded by faith, chose to dismiss the obvious.
We cut back to King's Landing, where we've got basically Tyrion and Shay in bed. Yep. Really, that's not kind of a pivotal scene, other than to say, hey, listen, there's a real seriousness to the fact that I'm a Lannister, and if we don't win the day, I won't be here tomorrow. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And also with Pycelle and Cersie, that theme kind of cuts through the fact that Pycelle or Maester Pycelle is saying, hey, listen, here's some poison. You just take a certain amount and
offering it to her,
and you go to sleep. You don't have to worry about waking up.
Well, obviously, I think she asked for it, but interesting for Lannisters to be both in that position simultaneously, right? And when you have a strong family that kind of seems to tread heavily
Absolutely.
On others,
they
both seem to be there's a lot of sense of foreboding. There's some foresight. There's some belief that they really don't feel like they can win. I don't think they were confident in that. Tyrion mentioned something about
they didn't think they were going to win.
No, he was mentioned something about being killed. Cersei got a vial of poison for the purpose.
Anybody that was in the know did not think that they were going to win.
I think they'd be crazy to think they were going to win.
Yeah. And because Stannis is a serious warrior too. Mm-hmm. I mean, that guy is a badass. He's the guy that put the Balon Greyjoy down when he rebelled. Mm-hmm. He's a serious guy. Now we cut to a little bit of a lighter scene that kind of refers back to our 5 questions and Bronn and the Hound. I mean, first of all, the opening scene of Bronn is singing "The Rains of Castamere."
Yep.
I mean, in the books, it's hard to kind of get the flavor of what these songs mean when you're reading the books, but it's interesting to see them come.
If I was going to go out, I'd go out that way.
Singing "The Rains of Castamere."
Drunk, with my comrades just before I go and face, sharp-edged swords.
With your schnoz.
With my schnoz.
Deep into a prostitute's butt.
A whore's butt, as Bronn said. one of the better lines of the series.
Yeah. Now, the other thing was the Hound comes in, starts to drink, and the Hound is probably feeling a little bit honored, and he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna start some shit, basically.
I'm gonna stir some shit up.
And Bronn is the guy that doesn't really take shit no matter who it is.
The interesting thing, though, is that the Hound seems to be attracted to hating the immoral or the amoral kind of people. I mean, he's none too fond of his own king, Joffrey. That's obvious.
True.
I think
that's a good point, actually.
Yeah, and I think Bronn as well. I mean, a very immoral kind of guy. I think he has less of a conscience than the Hound, actually. I mean, he would just kill because it needed to be done or because he wanted to.
Hound, is the Hound a moral compass?
I think
in some ways he is.
Yeah, in some ways he is. I think the Hound actually has a moral compass. Yeah. I think he does. I don't know if he is, but he does definitely have one. And that separates him from Bronn. It separates him from Joffrey. Mm-hmm. And right there you've got a real indication into his character.
To square off, and Bronn has got the knife ready to go. That's supposed to be his, like, effectively his trick in the fight.
The sneaky
knife. He's like, I don't care how I win.
Immoral kind of action.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But again, like, you know, there's no good guys in a fight.
There's no good guys in a fight.
Yeah,
sure.
especially in Westeros.
We're focusing on the character portrayal here because we think that this episode was all about these characters. I mean, it really...
He did go into a deeper level of these characters.
Every
one of them is under stress. And it's under stress that kind of the real character boils to the surface.
Yep.
And every one of them was more interesting from this episode.
I made the Walking Dead analogy that the show, I mean, the acting in this show is obviously much better, but the acting in that show, not so great. The storyline, the premise, the reason it has critical acclaim is probably because the storyline was about apocalypse, about human nature, what would happen in a situation where, you know, death is at your doorstep. How would you react? What kind of personality do you need? What kind of attitude? What kind of approach? Some grow into leaders, some grow into monsters. In this case, we had the same situation, battle at their doorstep, death probably awaiting them. And who stepped up and who stepped down? Who ran away? Who died? Who cried? Who got wasted?
Yeah. We also kind of, in talking about the characters continue to develop, Varis and Tyrion start to basically have this conversation about the tunnels. Here's the map of the tunnels. And he's like, oh, there must be 20 miles of it. He's like, more like 50 miles of tunnels. And they use that later on in the story to their advantage. But, I mean...
Varis would know, though.
If you take Varis out of the story, wow. I mean, a lot of key plot elements all of a sudden disappear.
Sure.
So, without spoiling anything, I know I've gotten in trouble for that in the past, mini spoilers, and thanks for calling me on it, is these tunnels... And the intricacy of them are going to play another role within the story beyond the battle.
The interesting thing is the choice to introduce him now. But think of Varys' character. Think of the fact that they call him the Spider. He talks about having little birds everywhere. He seems to know everything before everybody else knows it.
And he does talk about the dark arts, too,
he does.
in that conversation.
He does talk about the dark. He leads into that. But the revelation here, this map of this tunnel system, his knowledge that it's 50 miles long, really big insight into how Varis collects this information, how Varis uses these. I mean, he's got the map of the tunnels. Varis knows everything. He's got all kinds of people working for him. Knowledge is power. Information is power. And here we have Varis presenting Tyrion with a tunnel system under King's Landing that Tyrion has never seen before.
Again, and well acted as well. Like he continues to be a very interesting character.
Absolutely. And he did talk about the dark arts and the Lord of Light
and the fact that there's a reality to it. And I think that is different from the other gods of the past. Is there's a kind of a disbelief that exists. They're like, oh, this god or that god or whatever. The fact of the matter is, a guy like Varys saying, listen, there's something real.
I know stuff.
There's something real to these dark arts.
I know stuff I don't want to know.
Yeah.
He's scared.
Yeah, because I mean,
unusual position.
We do fear the unknown, and there's something that is unknown about the power of Roller and the God of Light. So we're back to kind of like Stannis and the ships. Really, we're just kind of highlighting this kind of tough lifestyle. That's like it's not really much of a scene. It's just they're getting closer.
They get ready. All the troops get up on the deck.
Yeah, they're getting closer.
Just building our suspense, which it did very well.
Now, another character that beyond Theon Greyjoy is everybody loves Joffrey.
Yes,
Joffrey, the blonde-haired guy that is. We were talking about him in the pre-show that. He's actually thinking of not acting any longer.
Joffrey is actually studying theology I think he's in the UK. Well, somewhere in the UK. I think it's in England. And just talked about the fact that he's not sure he'll do some professional acting after this. Listen, we all despise the character of Joffrey. The actor himself obviously has a completely different kind of life, and apparently, seems to be quite a straight and narrow sort of guy. Wants to be an academic. Wants to go into academia and continue there for a long time. It's hard to separate the two, but it's a testament to the talent of his acting.
Yeah, obviously he's a very capable
I think it's Gleason, John Gleason or Jack Gleason?
I think it's Jack.
I think it's Jack or John Gleason. You could Twitter it, or sorry, you could Google it or look it up.
So he pulls out his blade.
Pulls out his blade.
He pulls out the goods and calls it Heart Eater.
Heart Eater.
Now, that blade was actually...
What other blade names do we know? We know Ice.
Yeah.
Ice was kind of cool. Wasn't as angry as Heart Eater.
We also know the Lightbringer.
Lightbringer. That's a nice positive name.
Stannis'
It's a nice positive name.
Yeah.
And then Joffrey wants to eat hearts.
Heart Eater.
Yeah.
And Ice, the sword Ice that Ned Stark had. That's made out of Valyrian steel. All these important swords are made out of Valyrian steel. Mm-hmm. That has a kind of a tough future, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Well, you think that someday they'd find this relic and talk about it being Heart Eater. That was Joffrey Baratheon's weapon in the battle.
And
of
does Jon Snow's sword have a name yet?
His something Claw, doesn't it?
Claw.
Something Claw. I think it's something Claw.
Is it Wolf Claw, maybe?
Yeah, I think I can't remember the name right now. But if you do remember, give us a comment. Let us know.
That was given to him by the Lord Commander Mormont.
Yes, of course.
The thing within Heart Eater in that scene, basically, where he pulls it out and says, "Sansa, kiss my sword."
Mm-hmm. I don't know which sword he was talking about.
Yeah, I think she got it wrong.
I think she got it wrong.
She got it wrong.
Did she not kneel?
She got it wrong.
And then he pulled his sword out? Yeah.
The important thing is she got it wrong.
She got it wrong.
So again, into her character, she pushed him to say, you're going to be in the vanguard, which is effectively the forward force within the within the battle.
Very clever.
So she's like, I'd love for you to be in the vanguard.
You should be. That's where all strong
I know
men
that was
go.
a stupid question. Of course you're going to be in the vanguard. Mm-hmm. And it makes him kind of like shrink. Mm-hmm. It makes him shrink because at the end of the day, he's going to be in a fight. He doesn't really. I don't think he
doesn't have the stones to do it.
He does not have the berries.
She also gave a dig at Tyrion there at the beginning. She said something about.
Well, she said to him like, "I'm going to pray for you just the same way as I pray for."
The king, my king.
Yeah,
which is obviously
like, Tyrion is like. Oh,
but Tyrion showed her some mercy, showed her some grace recently,
but
some humility. So it's I guess once a Lannister, always a Lannister, right? Yeah. And lump them all together. I hope she effectively said, "I hope you die," and Joffrey, here's a way you can die too.
Yeah, that's true. We cut back to the ships a little bit. The Hound, just the closing scene, kind of the Hound comes close to fire. You see his aversion to fire. That does play a theme throughout the story. Mm-hmm. And you realize that as a kid, the reason that he was burned or the way he was burned, that a lot of people may or may not know, is that his brother, the Mountain, or Gregor Clegane, basically
held his face into
a bunch of coals.
Yeah, a bunch of coals.
And after he took a toy from him.
Yeah.
So he took a toy from his brother, and he took his face and stuffed it into a bunch of coals.
Held it into coals until he burned half his face off.
After he burned half his face off. So a very good, healthy, familial relationship with those two guys.
They're good siblings.
So he's a little apprehensive.
They go fishing and stuff, I'm sure.
He's a little apprehensive when it comes to fire.
Now, we're overlooking the wall at the moment.
That's right.
Right?
We're overlooking King's Landing.
We're on the wall of King's, So we're overlooking Blackwater Bay. We have Tyrion, the pyromancer, Joffrey. The Hound is behind Joffrey. Lancel's there. Tyrion's saying...
It's all setting up.
Lancel tell the Hound to tell Joffrey. Joffrey's saying, tell Lancel to tell the Hound to tell Lancel to tell Tyrion.
Yeah.
It's all confusing. However, what does stand out is Tyrion's in charge, beyond a doubt. He is in charge.
He's got a plan.
He's about to be cut in half, which would make him a quarter. It was another good line.
Yeah. He's got a plan. We do cut just for a second away from there to I think it's in Maegor's keep in the book. Mm-hmm. Cerse's there, and she's 3 sheets to the wind, like we're talking about.
Already.
She's going through her black book, going, who can I drunk dial? She's giving Sansa a whole bunch of
terrible advice,
and she's just very cynical, kind of jaded.
She made a nice analogy about bleeding. They're bleeding out there. You're bleeding in here.
And yeah, it's nice,
yeah.
Very character building. That being said, she does have Sir Ilyn Payne there as a means of dealing with any traitor, she says at the time. But really what she's saying is...
And what she does say later.
Is this guy, who is like not a likable character at all. He's had his tongue cut out under...
he beheaded Ned Stark.
Yeah. He's the guy that beheaded Ned Stark. He had his tongue cut out under the Targaryen regime. that he's here to really kill everybody. Like,
if
it comes down to it.
The other interesting thing here was that Cersie makes the claim that the people of King's Landing need to fear the royalty. She says need to fear us. So I'm assuming the royalty. The question really is, what if they love them?
Yeah.
I mean, invoking fear for compliance would lead to the problem of the theft she was referring to, where she talked about putting their heads on spikes, that kind of stuff. But what if they ran King's Landing from a place that had the people loving the people leading them? Yeah. Would that not still be the same end?
Yeah, and moving to the truly, but you get the feeling that Lannisters never actually have that relationship with their subjects.
Never. But it is too bad.
We move on probably to the first totally awesome scene, which is the Wildfire scene, where we've got this lonesome little tugboat ship this lonesome little ship kind of making its way out towards everyone. Davos is there. He's like, they sent one ship? That doesn't make any bloody sense.
But he also said...
he's like, this is suspicious as hell.
This throws back to the beginning, too, where he was skeptical. There was a lot of foreboding. He was very convinced that this would not be easy. And again, he's first on the scene, notices his ship. He's uneasy about it. It's just floating by. There's no one on it. And of course, all the suspicions come to
and the
life.
Explosion happens. And I mean,
holy crap.
We've got a couple shots of that. Like, what an awesome scene! It's different from the books. Different from the books. And in the book, what Tyrion had done, which is also a stroke of genius, was he had all the forges within town make this gigantic chain that he had these big chain links, and he had the two towers across Blackwater Bay basically connect this chain, and as the boats went past the chain, he lifted the chain up, and then these little ships basically filled with wildfire started the fire, and then everybody got pushed against this chain, gigantic
nobody
chain,
could get out,
and they couldn't get out. So all of the boats burned effectively,
all of them pretty much,
except for Salvador San's boats, which were outside of the zone. So there are boats that still did get saved. A little bit of a deviation from the books, but what an awesome scene where it blew up and literally sent Davos into the water. He said to his son, like, get out of the way. So that might not work out very well for him.
For his son.
For his son.
Or Davos.
We
just don't know.
And I think Davos in the books had 5 children or 6 children. I forget exactly.
Most of them are dead.
But most of them are dead. Yeah. He's had a lot of sons.
And now his last son. Possibly.
Then Stannis basically is like, he's like, okay, well, they played their trick. We lost a bunch of things. Come with me and take this city.
Did he have any choice?
Yeah, exactly.
What a perfect reaction from Stannis.
Yeah.
As a leader, I mean, there's no doubt he's a soldier. This is a testament to the character of Stannis too, like the true nature of his character. That when everything's blown up and on fire around you, he looked around in the water. He sees all of his soldiers drowning. The first thing he says is, "Let's go. Follow me. Let's take the city." And what that did was it basically. I think it really distracted the troops from what they thought was the end of the battle already, and got them focused. They all got into boats.
Yeah, everybody's got a plan until they get punched. Everybody's got a plan for their fight till they get punched in the mouth.
Absolutely.
He got punched in the mouth with the first thing, and he's like,
he had a plan.
He had a plan.
He still had a plan.
I mean, he was still okay.
Awesome. It kind of makes you like Stannis a little bit.
Yeah,
something about that I liked.
Although he's got no personality,
he's like, let's get the hell out of here.
I cheer for him.
Yeah, let's do something. Let's do something about this.
Honestly, he's not really in the wrong.
He's not really in the wrong. Absolutely not.
The fact of the matter is, those are illegitimate children.
It is his throne.
And
it's his throne anyway.
He is the next in line.
Robert died. It's Stannis. Yeah. That's it.
He is the guy that's the rightful king.
Yep.
Cut back to Cersie. I mean, we had this kind of like weird dynamic in the show where we would cut back to this scene in Maegor's Keep, basically, where Cersie and Sansa and all the birds were kind of in there. And
the difference in this scene is this is where we first got to see Cersei's breastplate. I mean, it was like an iron bikini. It was wonderful. It just, it's nice. It's sculpted. She gives new meaning to the term breastplate, I really believe.
I like plates.
And breasts, and so breastplate just works.
It just
works. But again, probably the being back in their age, I suppose it was like the Westerosi bikini. It was wonderful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Battle bikini.
Made her look very strong.
It's a battle bikini.
A battle bikini, kind of like
battle bikini.
Yeah, battle bikini, kind of like Barbarella, Queen of the Galaxy, kind of used to wear.
Yeah.
If you ever seen that movie, Google that. Excellent movie called Barbarella, Queen of the Galaxy. Kind of erotica, but very good.
That's what Jane Fonda.
Yeah. Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
And they had laser guns, or swords.
I think it was laser. Like it was. I think it was Jane Fonda.
Either way,
I think it was Jane Fonda's first movie.
I wasn't looking at the guns.
Or were you?
Okay, next.
So anyway, Cersie continues to do her thing basically around talking with Sansa. It doesn't really evolve the story. She kind of crap talks Shay some more.
But it's an opening up of Cersei's character in a not in a new way, but in a deeper way. I mean, she's talking about a woman's best weapon is between her legs.
Yeah.
This kind of thing. She's getting drunker and drunker. So as the pressure mounts in this episode, as the battle ensues, as Stannis arrives at her doorstep, Cersei is hiding, negative, drunk, and kind of exposing
mournful.
Mournful, sure.
She's like,
and tampering. She's kind of left. She's kind of continuing where Joffrey leaves off with Sansa as he walks out of the out of that hall after kissing the sword. You know, you're gonna lick your brother's blood off this sword later.
Yeah.
Your uncle's as well. Cersei just continues the abuse of Sansa Stark.
Yeah.
You know, it just continues in there. So not a good representation of herself when the pressure mounts.
That's true.
Very poor showing for Cersei Lannister.
Okay, so then we get to cut back to everyone's favorite character, Joffrey, kind of losing his mind as he's like, well, we played our card, which I didn't even know about. They're still coming. They're still coming. So Stannis starts to storm the beaches and basically enter at the Mudgate.
And the fear is in Joffrey's eyes.
Attack the Mudgate.
His face just spoke fear.
Yeah, and I think it was kind of a little bit of a cheap scene that way because it would have been in the books. There's a couple of other things that are present. There's these things they call the three whores, which are these trebuchets that they're using to launch into basically the ships, etc. And he's kind of associated with those and linked to those. And I'm pretty sure he stays out the whole time, but his fear is, I think he wants to be a tough guy. I mean, even if he's not naturally a tough guy, he's not as much of a coward.
Well, he'd be tough because he's ignorant and he lacks the judgment to
he's vain. He's got a
he's
vanity.
vain. He lacks the judgment to bow down.
He's definitely, he has a vanity of like a young man trying to basically say I'm strong, but he's not strong yet.
But he's not strong, and he really looked fearful. And again, about his character, he talked about cutting a red smile on Stannis' face, about meeting Stannis, about getting Stannis' blood on his sword. And then when it actually became a reality up on the wall of King's Landing overlooking the bay as they come in, Joffrey was truly fearful. So again, the true color, the true nature of Joffrey comes out.
So
Cersei.
We see more of the Hound is battling kind of the thing. Stannis basically gets off the boat and runs. He's like the first boots on the beach, basically.
Yep.
And again, that's not how it goes down in normal battles with the guy that would be king.
Yeah.
He's typically...
It's like we were soldiers, Mel Gibson. Yeah. I'll be the first on the battlefield and the last off the battlefield.
Yeah,
his great portrayal.
You've got to respect this guy.
Yep.
Because he's like, listen, I'm asking you guys to do this. You're going to fall in behind me. So, I mean, that's a pretty big thing in a lot of ways.
I thought he must have... You have to have some faith in that situation. I mean, you're running in amidst arrow fire. I don't know if they had hot oil. I didn't see any. I saw rocks. But you're running in there first. You're the first target they're seeing. You're the leader of the entire army. You've got to have some sort of faith to just, run Hail Mary to the wall of King's Landing like that.
Yeah.
That was incredible. He did he talk? Did he not mention to the Mudgate at some point at that scene near the end? He said, "Let's to the Mudgate. Let's go."
Yeah.
Which was Tyrion's belief that they would attack the Mudgate.
That's right.
In the previous episode. So.
And just geographically, that made sense too.
Yep. The Hound just prior to that scene though does mention a lot about his fear of fire. If fire comes near me, I'll cut you in half or whatever
Choke
he did
you with your entrails.
Yeah, whatever he did say to some of those people, but. He did really accentuate, as he does in the book, fire and fire. He doesn't want fire near him. He can't go near fire. And this whole battle is about fire. I mean, Lord of Light, wildfire, flames everywhere, fire, dipped arrows, everything.
Yeah.
So the Hound was in a rock and a hard place, so and it started to show.
After the initial kind of melee between Stannis' troops and the guard that the Hound was part of, we basically have everybody comes back behind the gate at the mud gate. The Hound is basically Tyrion says to the Hound, "Get back out there! You got to fight!" Blah blah. The Hound is like, "You know what? I'm not buying your brand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of here. Screw the king. Screw you. Screw everybody. Screw King's Landing.
Yep.
I'm out of here."
Yep.
And shortly after that, Cersie calls out to bring Joffrey back.
Well, Lancel gets shot with an arrow, shows up in Magor's Keep.
Yeah.
And kind of gives her an update, and she says, "Get Joffrey, Joffrey back."
And he comes and gets him, and he leaves. Mm-hmm. He leaves.
Yeah, comes and asks Joffrey to go, and Joffrey. The interesting thing here is Tyrion actually tries to convince Joffrey to remain and be part of leading his army against Stannis. And the ulterior motive here, obviously. I mean, Tyrion is, in a position here now where he can actually encourage Joffrey to die. I mean,
but anybody would say, to be honest, like anybody would give the same advice.
Anybody would ask Joffrey to get out there and fight.
Yeah,
Tyrion's motives were twofold, I think.
Yeah.
He wanted his king to fight, and he wanted his nephew to die, I think.
And I think you're going to see from the point of view of the story in the books that the resentment and contempt that Tyrion has for Joffrey increase manyfold.
The interesting thing too is another thing about that's Joffrey's character now revealed. We have the Hound's character revealed about fire and about his weakness. Finally, a weakness in the Hound. Joffrey's character revealed where when he had an out, he took it. The coward that he was. At the same time, Tyrion is left in almost like a Braveheart scene, like a Mel Gibson, rousing the troops to fight, now having to lead them himself, a testament again to Tyrion's character. And
he did use the tunnel, like in the books, is a little different. He didn't do that same technique.
He was already outside
the tunnels. He was already outside. The battle was happening outside the gate, outside the walls. Tyrion rallies the troops. And then we cut to a quick scene before we come back to this battle where the Hound is in Sansa's quarters. Mm-hmm. And he says, "Hey, listen, I'll take you to Winterfell. I'll take you to these spots." Right. She says, "Listen, Stannis isn't going to hurt me. Stannis is like, he's not going to hurt me." And the fact of the matter is the Hound is adrift now. So he doesn't have anybody to protect. He just has to escape King's Landing now because he's effectively a traitor.
Well, he said, fuck everybody, didn't he? Fuck the king, fuck the King's Landing,
Exactly. I'm out of here. I'm no longer loyal to you. Effectively, I'm breaking. He has an oath.
You see, I really think HBO took a step here to really solidify the type of people these characters are. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like it's obvious. Yeah. It's obvious. Joffrey became who we hate the most, and he became what we hated about him. Cersei becomes what we hate about her. Sansa becomes what we love about her. Tyrion becomes what we love about him. Right? Yeah. The Hound is the only anomaly. I mean, I've always liked the Hound. I've felt, he's a killer, but he's a killer with a conscience, and I think that separates the Hound from Bronn. Instantly, is that Bronn has no conscience and the Hound does. Yeah. The Hound always had a bit of a protectionist kind of thing.
He turns it on and off.
He does.
But there is more to be. The story of the Hound is longer, and he does play an important role moving forward in season 3 and possibly, hopefully, season 4. We do get back to the important scene of all of a sudden. It was a little bit funny. I thought they did a great job in the wildfire scenes, but all of a sudden you have Stannis, who's supposed to have close to 50 to say 100,000 men. I mean, he's lost some of the Highgarden guys. You've got what looks like about 300 guys attacking King's Landing.
Yeah, it was
and you're like.
We actually said that though. We actually even commented. We said
it's like that doesn't seem quite right. So Tyrion kind of comes back out there, hits him from behind, and he's like cutting legs off. And he's like, "Hey, listen, we took this back.
We won."
And then obviously all these other guys rush in, but the fact of the matter is, it didn't really kind of show the true even with what they showed, and the cost would be so astronomical. But it just didn't show the sense of like 50,000 people fighting.
Not right away.
Yeah. Even when those new guys rushed in.
Well, Tyrion was very, very happy with himself, felt relieved.
Yeah.
And then turned around and looked, and here we have a new horde of Stannis' army running towards him. Interesting, though, that Tyrion had another pivotal role here. I mean, he provided the wildfire, which decimated the ships, and it looked like most of Stannis' army was drowning at the time. The smallest guy with the biggest clout. I mean, again, he's outside the wall.
Take that character out, you wouldn't have a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, well, he basically held them off, smashing through the gates.
Even though Cersie had administered the wildfire, it was the execution of the wildfire plan that made it work.
Yep.
So then we cut to another treacherous scene where the Kingsguard, gosh, his name escapes me in the moment again, all of a sudden shows up and slices Tyrion across the face.
Yeah, right across the face.
Now, right across the face. And although it's just a hairline cut in the story, in the books, he has the same kind of cut basically, but it kind of cuts all of his nose off, and he's really messed up.
Now, we don't know for a fact that that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But we know that he had a big cut on his nose, a huge cut on his face.
The thing here is, this is one of his own guys.
Yeah.
So the only person that could have ordered this, in my mind, is Joffrey.
So why would the Kingsguard attack Tyrion?
So
Really?
Cersie would order that, or Joffrey would order it.
Mm-hmm.
And my feeling is that Joffrey's contempt for Tyrion showed up there.
Mm-hmm.
Although Joffrey's kind of other people have been blamed for other things that Joffrey's done, like the trying to kill Cat Stark, etc., and so forth. But I think this is something that Joffrey's ordered, not Cersie. Even though Cersie has complete contempt.
We've talked a lot in the last few episodes where Tyrion has, bitch slapped Joffrey. He's humiliated him. He's removed Sansa from his abuse. He's chided him scolded him like a child.
Yeah.
There has to be payback somewhere. There has to have been, and this could be it.
To credit to Tyrion, think about, so you're the guy that's like up all night trying to strategize. You make the wildfire work. The plan is working. You're out there. You go, I don't want to fight. He's like, I'm not a fighter. And then all of a sudden...
Well, you're forced to lead them out there,
You're forced to lead these guys because the Hound quits. Your king quits. He's like, okay, fine, I'll do this. He gets out there, and some dude from the Kingsguard, from his own team, ordered by his king, tries to cut his face off.
Tries to kill him. Yeah,
Tries to kill him. And thought he had killed him.
Yeah. Now that's an official re-bitch slap back.
And it was Podrick, that his squire, that saved him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Put a spear through the back of his head.
Yeah.
Beautiful move.
And Podrick continues to play a role in the book. I doubt he'll play much of a role in the future episodes. He might be present, but he doesn't really need a lot of lines, to be quite honest.
But that's very true to the book too.
Yeah.
Podrick was there.
Doesn't really say anything.
Podrick was around. Didn't say anything, but did do some of that, of what we saw.
And he passes out at the end.
Yep.
So when he wakes back up, the Lannisters are going to hold King's Landing still.
Well, that's what we saw. The last thing we saw was that what looked like Renly Baratheon, who was supposed to be dead. It was his armor. It was
Loras Tyrell that was wearing his armor.
It turned out to be Loras Tyrell, yeah. But, the book even refers to it as like Renly's ghost returned to King's Landing to, destroy Stannis.
So that means that Tywin, Tyrion's father and Cersei's father, was able to cut a deal with Highgarden, the Tyrells.
Yeah.
And this is basically the faction that broke away after Stannis' ghost or dark kind of shadow killed Renly.
This is bad news for Robb Stark.
Yeah, so this basically means that this power joined forces. They didn't really have a lot of options. They joined forces with the Lannisters, and they took King's Landing, and that means that House Lannister and House Tyrell are going to have the power seats within Westeros.
I think House Tyrell, they're a very powerful house. Loras is the Knight of Flowers. He's his prowess is renowned. Marjorie is a beautiful woman. I mean,
His sister.
His sister. You've got a lot of elements here that could come into play, and that now we have a Lannister and House Tyrell alliance, and that is a humongous blow to the men of the North and Robb Stark.
And that's
huge blow.
I mean, although there's the other things to talk about is that Cersei was almost going to poison Tommen. I mean, it's irrelevant. It's kind of just storytelling in the sense like, oh, that was so close. But the fact of the matter is, Tyrion Lannister is going to wake up tomorrow or 10 days from now or whenever he wakes up after this injury. And his father's going to be there, who is the rightful hand of the king.
Mm-hmm.
So
who had him acting in his stead. Yeah.
Tyrion is going to be out of a job.
Right.
He's going to have his face cut off. He's going to have Cersei Lannister, his sister, continuing to shit talk him. And whoever ordered that guy to cut his face open, which we think is Joffrey, cares nothing about this guy. So what is his his world is in orbit.
But do you think the fact that he saved King's Landing will come into play? Because that he really did. I mean, I don't think anybody could dispute the fact that he...
In that kind of a melee, who gets credit?
Well, he pulled a Braveheart. He threw some Wildfire.
Joffrey will claim all credit. That's what I think. I think Tyrion...
Well, I guess since he's still alive, yeah.
Everyone's going to try and get Tywin's praise.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, if Tywin doesn't praise Tyrion, Tyrion's floating in the abyss. And Tywin has never praised Tyrion.
Yeah.
Although he did give him this position. So I mean, from the point of view of ending this and kind of like wrapping the story up and so forth, it's like, wow, Tyrion has put his life on the line for a guy that doesn't want to do that.
Yeah. Very interesting. And the other thing is we obviously no one expected this entire episode to be regarding King's Landing or about King's Landing. So all the loose ends mentioned in the pre-show are still loose ends, and we got one episode left. So I mean, we had a great comment from somebody who follows the show, Ursania, who talked about her or his, I'm not sure either one, her or his outcomes for the last scene of season 2, episode 10, and they're on our comments under our under episode 8, the Prince of Winterfell's review. You can look down in the comments. You can see his outcomes there. Or Sandy, maybe you can let us know what gender you are, so I can refer to the proper gender. But a great kind of idea, and we asked if we could borrow it for the show. I would give them credit, so I did. And now we'd like to ask you to please comment at youtube.com/socialpixels what you think the last scene of season 2, episode 10 will be. And you can also comment or post on the blog, GameOfThronesTV.tumblr.com, or you can sort of tweet those things to @socialpixelstv on Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have to close up some Jon Snow. We've got to close up some Arya.
A ton of open stories.
There's going to be lots of suspense ending scenes.
Yeah.
We've got.
But what's that last most important scene?
Well, I mean, you told me already that the soundtrack has come out for Game of Thrones season 2.
Yeah.
And what does the last track do?
Well, again, it was Ursania that told us the last track, number 21, is called Three Blasts.
Yeah.
So that's very suspect.
Three blasts from the Night's Watch means
I just going to be some shitting the pants.
Yeah.
In the last scene, I will say so far that, and I'll comment. And we'll
more
post
than
ourselves.
Normal.
But there'll be more shitting the pants than normal in the last scene of episode 10, season 2, Game of Thrones, and we continue right here next week. Yep. Our epic pre-show is live 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on GameOfThronesTV.tumblr.com. Our epic after show review is also live, and that's at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on GameOfThronesTV.tumblr.com. Check out at socialpixels.tv on Twitter all week long for comments. I will try to respond on youtube.com/socialpixels for your comments. And, obviously take your criticism and take your praise even more.
Yeah, absolutely. We're having a blast doing this, and we're going to continue on after the season episode. We'll say it now, season episode's over, so that we can try and get some more kind of character reviews and so forth, and keep this going for a little while. Anyway.
We won't stop at Hodor like other bloggers. I think what we want to do is gather... I think we have an idea that some sort of moratorium on speaking about the show will be lifted when the show's over. And we're looking for some more actor interviews. What we'd like to do is a bit of a character study about the characters season 1 and 2, about who they are, go a little more in depth, and then have the interview about the actor behind the character. So if you're interested, sign up, subscribe, follow, like, and you will certainly receive a notification when we post one of those at any time, and we'll post it on YouTube and on our blog at Game of Thrones TV. And you'll be the first to know.
Awesome. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Curtis Hollister.
I'm Sheldon McGilvray.
And you're watching the after show review of Game of Thrones Season 2, Episode 9, Blackwater.
Awesome.